Hi, how do we design buildings that are of low maintenance? This is an interesting dimension of what we offer from Ideal Lab Architects. Now, for us, a building is something that need to require minimum maintenance for its entire lifetime. It doesn't make sense for us to sell a home to a customer who will buy at say X price and then pay 5% of that, 10% of that year on year for maintenance. How do we cut that down? Here is how we do it. Number one is we cut on the water dependency. Water may not be the highest bill today for you because you hardly pay any amount of money for water from the government grid. For instance, in a city like Bangalore, we pay around 5 rupees 60 paisa per 1000 liters of water. That's right, it's 5 rupees 60 paisa per 1000 liters of water. Whereas a bottle of water, 1 liter bottled water that you buy from a shop, you pay 20 rupees per bottle. It may sound ridiculously obscure in the way things are now misaligned, but that's just the way the government operates. Today the government is supplying water to you and me at 5 rupees 60 paisa, maybe 10 rupees per 1000 liters of water every day. So we don't care, we really don't care. Why would we care? It's just ridiculously low price. None of you remember the water bill that you pay every month. It's very low. Mostly the society takes care of it and you don't really care. But the problem is there is not much water to supply for the government. The government is waterless simply because there is so much of demand on the water sources that the water sources are depleting heavily across the country in any major city that you take. So it becomes imperative that if you have a home, that you manage your own water. If you are building a home, if you are a developer, you learn to manage your own water. If you do not show good water sources, certainly customers are not going to buy. I'll give you an example of a project. Obvious reasons I cannot name the project, but there's a project in Bangalore which we were involved in, and the project has no water. It is so much so that within the first phase, there are 5 phases in the project, the first phase got sold out because the builder had a good reputation and they had existing customers who gave them repeated orders and they just bought it. And when they bought it, they rented it out, about 600 homes or so that they sold in the first phase. About 400 homes got occupied. And one day I had visited this particular project and I found that every 1 hour there is a water tanker that was coming in and going out. That's ridiculous. How can you run an entire campus with water coming from some 20 kilometers away or 10 kilometers away? It's just not sustainable. How long do you think this campus will continue to run? It is going to have problems, and it's already having problems now. The second phase, third phase, fourth phase is not selling well. And they are now coming back to me and saying, can you give me a solution on how to make this campus sustainable? How can you make it sustainable? You already ruined the entire campus. So it's not possible for us to solve this problem because without studying the underground water table, without managing water properly, designing to manage water sustainably, you have gone ahead and constructed the whole campus by just thinking of only one dimension, which is floor space index or floor area ratio, FSI, FAR discussion. It is the FSI discussion. They want to maximize on profitability, which is good. There's nothing wrong in wanting to maximize the profitability because it's extremely expensive for somebody to go and put so much of money in a project and take a big risk and not want to take a kind of a good return on the project. But the good news is if you are able to design for water, you can actually solve the water problem and achieve good FSI in a project. And that's a trick, which is very easy to do. It's common sense. Anybody can do this. The second dimension, which I think is becoming pretty huge going forward, is energy. Now, once again, we don't pay a huge cost in energy because even though many of us can afford good amount of money to be paid for energy, we don't pay so much because the government is subsidizing power for us. Yes, that's true. Your government is subsidizing power that comes into your home. My power is subsidized by the government, not because I deserve power, but because that's the only way they know how to do it. These are inherited problems that no government has the willpower to change at this point of time. Now, this is not going to continue for long. maybe another 5 years, 10 years, one good strong leader with a strong willpower is certainly going to change this entire paradigm, and we need to start paying 3, 4, 5 times the bill that we are paying today. But there is a problem today which is beyond just the bill problem, which is the government has no power. The quality of the power that the government is giving is also very pathetic. It's poor. So we need to start solving these problems ourselves. Builders can no more ignore the power problems. Clearly, I can see that this is going to be the future. This is how everything is going to go forward. And that, I think, is the two important dimensions that we need to look at. The third important dimension for reducing the cost is your garden. Now, do you know that about 20% of the society fees that you pay perhaps goes for maintaining of the garden, if you have a garden, that is, because it has so much of chemicals in it. It requires so much of water, and it requires pruning, it requires insecticides, it requires pesticides, it requires fertilizers, and so on and so forth. It requires a huge army of people to maintain that. It could cost quite a lot of money to manage the garden that is there. That may look very good, but you would probably see every day this little board that says don't walk on the lawn, don't play on the lawn. Why do you have a lawn where nobody wants to work, nobody wants to play? The plants are supposed to be things that we interact with. We should be able to touch it, we should be able to smell it, perhaps take some produce from the plants back to our garden, back to our home, where we can maybe make some nice dish out of it and have it, nice recipe out of it and have it. But gardens are not designed like that. It's designed only to look good. That's not how gardens should be. If you use native, local species, particularly the herbal species, which are medicinal in nature, you can certainly create a garden space where you would love to go and spend time. Your children would love to go and spend time. Your parents would love to go spend time. And you can start interacting with plants, and you can start using these plants for your regular use. And it reduces the consumption of water. It reduces all kinds of chemical uses, perhaps go to an extent where there is zero chemical use, zero poison free, poison free, completely poison free kind of plants that you can have in your own garden. Now, that's not all. That's not the only thing on gardens. You can produce your own food in your campus. Why not have different kinds of vegetables grow on all these garden spaces? That would start creating a new kind of a statement in the market. People would love it. If you can make a statement that 30% of my vegetables in my society comes from within the project itself, in my rooftop, in my balconies, in my backyard, in my gardens in front, people would just love it, isn't it? So these are the 4 or 5 dimensions in which you can cut down the cost of maintenance of a project. Now, if you would like to know more about this, do write to me at murali@brickeagle.com. We're more than happy to walk you through how we handle reduced maintenance as a dimension of offering from Idean Lab, which is a Brick Eagle company.